I'm John Wise, Assistant Director of Track and Field and Cross Country at Wichita State University. Welcome to On Pace. This is our first show, and we have a lot to get to. After the MVC Championships, the Shockers qualified 4 athletes to the NCAA Championships in Eugene, Oregon, home of Tracktown, USA. Highlighting the effort for WSU was junior Hunter Veith, who finished 6th in the decathlon with a school record of 7,866 points. This earned Veith first-team All-American honors, and with the top 4 placers graduating in 2017, look for Hunter to be challenging for a national title in 2018. On the women's side, WSU did something it had never done before, qualifying 3 ladies to one event for the first time in school history. Nikki Larchmiller, Brianne Borman, and Gavin Yetter all made it to Eugene in the heptathlon. Borman and Yetter earned second-team All-American honors by placing 10th and 11th, while Larchmiller was headed towards a top 8 finish before injuring her ankle with 2 events to go. All 3 of these ladies made a major impact on WSU track and field, and qualifying to the NCAA championships together was a great way to end fantastic careers. The Shockers once again showed their strength on the international scene this summer, as Deja Young won the 100 meters and 200 meters at the World Paralympic Championships in London, England in July. You probably remember Deja's highly successful 2016 trip to the Rio Games, where she also won the 100 and 200 and became a Wichita celebrity in the process. In the past 3 years, Young has now won 5 gold medals and 1 silver at the world level. We are certainly excited for her to put on the Shocker black and yellow for her junior year in 2018. WSU head track and field coach Steve Rainbolt also spent some time in Europe as an assistant coach for Team USA on the Thorpe Cup, a dual-meet decathlon that pits America versus Germany. This is the 3rd straight year Coach Rainbolt has been part of the Thorpe Cup staff, as last year he led Team USA to a win as the head coach of a team that included former Shocker Austin Bonner. This year, Germany came out on top with a narrow victory on their home turf in Dusseldorf. Every year, the fall brings enthusiasm and excitement to campus in the form of Shocker track and field newcomers. This year's recruiting class brings in over 40 talented athletes from around the United States as well as the world. Dozens of state champions and school record holders will join the Shocker roster, highlighted by freshman Rayvon Allen from Rockwood Summit High School in Missouri. Allen finished his senior year as the number 2 ranked triple jumper in the nation in 2017, and now teamed with All-American Jared Bellardo in the jumps, WSU will have a potent 1-2 attack for the next couple of years. Late August and early September signal the beginning of the cross-country season. Here's a look at the upcoming schedule. The cross-country season is just around the corner, and we had a chance to catch up with Wichita State cross-country coach Kirk Hunter at one of his early season practices to talk about the upcoming season.
You know, you're coming off the summer, it's a new team on the girls, and the guys are kind of veteran. How's that coming together?
They seem like they did their mileage. I mean, you know, in the summer we don't really get to do much in terms of coaching them and things like that. They just had to put in the time on their own.
Hey, you ready?
At least what I can perceive this early in the season, that they did a good job.
Remember your splits as you're going through this.
We all have so many new kids on our team this year that throughout our track program and cross country, it's going to be interesting to see how we all develop. Who's going to be the impact kids? Who's going to come in right away and make an impact? Kind of like Sydney Hirsch when she was here, super freshman. That's what our model is now. That's what we want, super freshman.
Guys, we're going to go as far as we can together.
Talk about the workout today. What did you guys do today?
Did an escalation run. It was
Ladies, up here.
basically they increased their tempo 10 seconds every mile.
Remember, I'd rather be too slow than too fast. Help each other out. Pull each other as far as you can. All right? 3, 2, 1, take off. Nice and comfortable.
You know, part of the workout today was running as a group, working as a team.
See how far you can go.
I want the same thing in races.
Go.
This was a pretty good route. There was some mixture, some uphills, downhills. Cross country's that way. I mean, ideally you want to run on what you're going to race on, but you know, when you're doing something like this, it's hard to find 10 miles of grass that you're going to run on. So, man, this is so much better for the body and so much better for the kids that we get to do this.
Red line is the finish. See the red line?
Good majority made it 8 on the girls, and a good majority made it 9 or 10 on the guys. So impressive, because usually I don't have freshmen make it that far. My first year here, I think some of those guys made it 3 or 4 miles. You know, so they're going 8, 8.5, 9, and 10. I mean, that's impressive.
I think that's it. I'm going to go up to the next one.
I'm really excited about JK Gold.
25.
You know, I've had many schools try to get me to go to their meets on the same date, and they want us to change. We don't want to change. This is, you know, it's JK Gold, first of all. I mean, for JK, and I mean, the meet's been going for a long, long time ago, before it was even called JK Gold. As a team, I think having the whole track team out there, it already starts to integrate our staff philosophy of, hey, we're one team and we're going to work together. And so having everybody out there together, cheering each other on, working, doing all the things that we're going to do, I think it's invaluable for just to kick off our year.
So we're here with Coach Rainbolt, and we're talking about our new move to the American Conference. Coach, you know, officially it happened in July, but it was kind of announced in April and in the spring. What do you think's been the general feeling around the athletic department with the change in the conferences?
I feel like in the world of college athletics, this is a significant step up for Wichita State from the Missouri Valley up into the American. For track and field, you know, the Valley is an awfully good track conference. And so I feel like around our office that we feel like we just need to keep doing what we're doing. We do need to step up our game. I think it's going to be tougher for us to win championships at the clip that we have been winning them. But I think that we're going to be battling for titles soon. That's going to be certainly our objective. That's our focus.
You know, you've been in the Missouri Valley for almost 20 years, and Wichita State's been such a big part of the Missouri Valley. Personally, how do you feel about moving to a new conference? Is it sad? Is it exciting? Or what is it for you as somebody who's been in the Valley for so long?
You know, sad and exciting are two good descriptors. I am a guy who cares about history. I care about tradition. I like a tenure in a conference. I like it when a coach has a long tenure at one school. I love that I've been coaching at Wichita State for a long time, and I like the idea of continuing my career there. So I'm going to miss the Valley. I love the Valley. I've thought that Missouri Valley track and field was great track and field. I've been really proud of every team title that we've won, and so I'm going to miss it. But I'm also excited. This new conference is a terrific challenge. There's a bunch of terrific coaches in this league, and I think it's exciting for our team, for the athletes in our team. I'm really pleased to see the athletes in our team able to tell me what the American looks like, able to tell me who their main opponents are in the American, who our main opponents are as a team. I feel like the athletes are excited, so I am too. I'm looking forward to it. I guess you can sense a little bit of mixed emotions, but generally I'm really excited.
So you mentioned some of the coaches. There's some famous coaches in this new conference. When you throw around names like Leroy Burrell, Carl Lewis, you know, Jeanette Bolden, Johnny Gray. There's some great coaches, you know, and not necessarily doesn't mean that they're better coaches in the Missouri Valley because there was great coaches there. But does that you know, kind of increase the prestige of coming to Wichita State for a recruit? Does it make recruiting easier? I know we've talked about recruiting around the office.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly yet what impact it has on recruiting at Wichita State to say to a recruit that down there at the University of Houston, a guy who belongs in any discussion about the greatest track and field athlete in history, Carl Lewis, is the assistant coach, and one of his main opponents when he was sprinting, and a guy who for a time held the world record in the 100 meters, Leroy Burrell, is the head coach. I mean, it's sort of remarkable for those two guys to be there at the University of Houston. Same thing with Jeanette Bolden at Central Florida, and J.J. Clark at Connecticut. But it goes on and on, you know. Heck, that leaves out Elvis Ford at Tulane, who was just an NCAA champion and Olympian, you know, and people don't even know about him. Yeah. But that guy was a star and a wonderful guy. You know, we used to compete against him in the Valley at Illinois State, and a great guy. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of good coaches in this league, and it's really going to be a neat deal, I think. I don't know what impact it's going to have on our recruiting. I feel like that there will be a perception that we have moved up to a higher level, and I'm hoping, obviously, that that's going to help us in recruiting, that athletes will like the idea of going to Orlando for a conference championship, going to Houston for a conference championship, going to UConn for a conference championship, and competing against, you know, really, really well-known programs. So I think, like you said, I don't think that means that those programs are necessarily any better than some of the ones in the Valley. There have been some awful good track and field in the Missouri Valley, but there might be a perception, and maybe we'll benefit from that.
Well, if anybody who's been following our program, they know last year we won 4 championships. The year before we won 3. 7 championships in the past 2 years was the first time that's ever happened in the conference. You know, is the expectation change? I know cross country's getting ready to start. What are expectations for the first year? Is it kind of see how it goes, or is the expectation, hey, we're going to battle for championships right away?
So, you know, I'm a guy who I tend to be pretty transparent. It's hard to be transparent in this situation. Our women's team last year was really good, and I think that we could have battled for a title in that league. We lost some immensely good seniors, very good seniors, and we're replacing them with some really good freshmen. But it doesn't matter. We're replacing seniors, All-Americans, a few of them, with freshmen, and some really good freshmen, but they're going to take some time to get developing and to get up to speed in NCAA Division I track and field. So on the women's side, I really don't know what to expect. I think that we're certainly going to be talking about battling up for a high finish, but probably we're building, probably we're young, and that might make it tough to envision knocking off a title right away in year one. On the men's side, we have a pretty intact, strong team that's still together, a championship team that won 2 championships, heck, the last 4 championships in the Missouri Valley Conference, and I think that that's a pretty good men's team. Now, on that side, we're going up against a really, really strong Houston team, but I think that we're ready to compete in that league with everybody else. Right now, I would have to say I think Houston is the favorite. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure.
I think Houston's the favorite, but I feel like that we can compete with everybody else in that league, and Houston better be ready and not stub their toe, or we'll be right there, I think. And so you use the word expectations. What are the expectations? I don't know that I've established expectations yet. Those are tough to establish until you get into the season and you see how the conference descending order list plays out and how it starts looking. But we had a team meeting yesterday. You heard me say, hey, we're going to be winning championships in this league, and so let's start thinking that way right now. Let's start thinking about winning titles. I hope the athletes heard that. I hope that they begin developing that mindset collectively.
Well, it starts real soon. We got the JK Gold cross country meet coming up, so we're going to start finding out a little bit about our team.
Yeah.
And so that happens right away, and the newcomers start practice, and the rest of the team will be going right behind them. And so exciting time to be part of Wichita State Track and Field.
I think so. I think it's great. I'm excited about it.
Former Shocker Aliphine Tuliamuk is no stranger to success, as she earned 13 first-team All-American honors while at WSU. Her success has also translated to her post-collegiate career, and we had a chance to catch up with her on Skype. So Aliphine, you have won 4 of the 7 USATF road racing championships this year. There's 4 to go. You've won over $40,000 in winnings this year. Is this your main focus, this running road circuit, or is there something else you'll be focusing on more later in the year?
Well, the circuit for now is my main focus, but then I think at the end of this year, maybe for the fall season, my coach and I decided that I was going to try to run a marathon again. We don't know exactly what we are doing. I mean, we kind of have a rough idea, but we haven't been confirmed yet. So I'm just doing the circuit, and then as the last race of the season, which is like the big goal kind of, I will be doing a marathon.
So Aliphine, will you be running any races on the track this year, or are you solely focusing on the road? And is there any chance you would come back to run the inter-squad meet here at Wichita State?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I mean, when you look at the track season, it's already almost over with the World Championships going on right now. So, and for me, really, I decided not to do the World Championships just because I wanted to focus on the roads and just to build up for the marathon, because if I was doing the track, then I wasn't going to be able to put in a lot of miles like I want to. And I feel like I don't really have the speed that I used to have when I was in college, because I'm now doing longer stuff. So yeah, I would love to do the inner squad if I had the opportunity, but I'm really not so sure now because of my season, the way it's kind of structured right now. So maybe not this year, maybe hopefully next year, we'll see.
So recently you signed a contract with New Balance. So what does it mean to be a sponsored athlete by New Balance? What does that mean to your running career now?
Well, as a professional athlete, you can only make so much money from winnings, and it's not always guaranteed that you're going to win every race. And having sponsorship is very important because, for example, I have a little bit of salary from New Balance. something that I didn't have last year. But more importantly, I guess for like a professional athlete, the way you make money when you have sponsorship is that, you know, any race that you win, you have like bonuses, and I have that bonus structure with New Balance. So any U.S. Championship road race that I win, I get, you know, like some money for like kind of like performance bonuses, and that's really nice because that adds up pretty quick. And you know, when I think about where I am financially right now compared to last year, I'm way ahead. Just, you know, like when I only count the balances, I mean the bonuses and the real salary that I have. And also, like, I don't have to worry about, you know, like buying shoes, which is very important because I go through shoes. Like now that I'm running at least 100 miles a week, by the end of like 1 or 1.5 months, my shoes are like, you know, I don't need to use them anymore, so I need newer shoes. And if I were buying them for myself, it would get really expensive. So it's kind of nice that way.
So now you live in New Mexico and you run and train with the Harambe Project and Coach Ryan Bolton. What does this project entail, and how has this group enhanced your career?
The Harambe Project, well, Harambe is actually a Swahili word. It means that when we come together, we achieve more. And so this was a project that was here, and the reason why I moved to New Mexico in the beginning was I wanted to train with Caroline Rotich, and she won Boston Marathon a couple of years ago. And we have another girl, her name is Semaine Abnett, and she lives in Albuquerque. So, like, for example, when I was in college, you know, like Coach Hunter always found guys to pace me all the time. And then after I got out of college, I didn't really have that advantage. But then having a training group is really good because, say, like yesterday, for instance, we had a tempo 8 miles. If I were doing it by myself, I don't think I would have been able to hit the times that we were supposed to. But because we were there, the three of us pushed each other, and that really helps. And for me, like that Harambe word, like has a lot of meaning because I don't really know how to run by myself, like to do well, you know, train well by myself. So like I need people so we could push each other. And it's really enhanced my running career just because I feel like the training that I have right now is just like a stepping stone from what I was doing in college, except now that we probably focusing more on like longer stuff, longer, you know, like long runs and even like workouts and stuff like that. But yeah, being part of a group is really important. And our coach is very knowledgeable. He really knows what he's doing. And by the way, he was in the 2000 Olympics for the triathlon. So he's pretty, and he ran in college. And so he really knows what he's doing. And I feel like since I got out of college, I only got better and better every year. And that was just because of, you know, having a good coach and having good training partners.
So recently there have been a lot of Shocker women go on after college to be successful in the distance races, like Kellen Johnson and Tanya Nero, Desiree Osborne, yourself. Why do you think Wichita State has been so successful in producing women's distance runners after college?
You know, I think that the training structure that we have at Wichita State, especially for the long distance, is really good. I feel like for all those women, you know, they were super prepared when they, you know, became pro runners. Like when I think about myself, for instance, I didn't succeed right away. I needed a lot of adjustment, but I think that the environment that we have in Wichita State in terms of training and the family, like the teamwork and all that stuff, I think that really like built us and made us stronger. And like doing all those workouts that we used to do, and especially running with the guys, for me, for instance, it really helped, like, it kind of helped me persevere a lot because when it comes to professional running, I mean, some of those training, especially when you're training for marathon, it's really tiring. You know, you get really tired and you just don't want to do more. But then because you've learned how to persevere from like 4 years when you were in college, I think that really prepares you. And so for me, I feel like we've been successful, you know, like as Wichita State alumni, it's just because of the training that we had. And of course, like, I mean, we used to have those talks, you know, we talk about how when you get out of school, it's different. It's kind of a different life. And I feel like whenever we had, you know, like those meetings and we'll talk about stuff like that, like we were prepared. And so like when I got out of college and I wasn't able to perform right away, I feel like those talks helped me to be patient. Like I just exercised a little bit of patience and now it's paying off.
Welcome to our roundtable discussion today. Our topic is going to be with the idea of changing the world record. Should the world records be reset because of some of the doping scandals and accusations of the 70s and 80s? Today to talk about this topic, we have Jason Parr. He's the head distance and cross country coach at Friends University. We also have Raquel Stuckey, who's the owner of First Gear Running Company. Mark Phillips is the head coach at Cali County Community College. Sophomore sprinter on the Wichita State track and field team, Daisha Bullocks, and president of the Shocker Track Club, Darren Musey. So I'm going to start with Jason. What do you think of the idea of getting rid of the old records and setting new records, or maybe having a point at which the records will begin again?
I think as you look back from the years of competition, you know, what do we know to be true back in the 70s, 80s about doping and what was actually what they were actually using? I think if you compare that to today's genetics and what people are able to get through the drug market and what they're able to do, I don't know where you find that baseline of truly finding out what was being used and what wasn't being used. The one thing that I love is being able to see that old school track and field, I think, in an authentic way that was done the right way. You know, in today's age, we've seen a change in performances. We can talk about baseball, we can talk about triathletes, we can talk about the cycling world, we can get into all of the sports that in some degree have some kind of doping issue. You know, for me, I want people to live up to the integrity of what every sport's about, and I want you to be able to train because you've trained hard for that, not because you need an edge. And by doing that, going and doping and taking away from the people that are truly doing what they need to do to get to that level. So,
Raquel, what do you think about this topic?
You know, I don't know. It's a very controversial, especially when you put the word probable in there. Let's take, for instance, Shalane Flanagan was just recently upgraded her medal from the 2008 Olympics. So she was upgraded her silver medal. That took 9 years to, you know, come with a definite response. And I think that, you know, and all in all said, that's definitely worth the wait. But you can't go on probability. I think, you know, true testament, you got to find out the facts, and that's. You know, I hate the fact that that's marring our sport, you know, in track and field. And good point. I mean, that goes across all lines of sport. You know, unfortunately, where you can physically see it the most is going to be track and field. You know, when you see races that are just unbelievable, what's the first thing you think? You know, it's just, and it's truly unfortunate. But as far as resetting, boy, that's just a hard. You know, correct answer. You would like to think that, you know, in the 70s and 80s it was gutsy performance that was getting people through. You know, those advancements in, you know, doping and so on and so forth. I mean, if those weren't discovered, we need to figure out a way to set them aside or you know, have a little bit more than just probable. So that's kind of my thinking there.
Mark, what do you think?
I agree. I think probable is a horrible word to use in this situation. If you can't go back and prove that they were doing it, how do you take those away? And just like that situation with the medal, they went back and proved it. So I think if you can't take it away because of proof, I think it's pretty hard to do that.
Daisha, you're somebody who's wanting to break records someday. What do you think about this?
I just think that now doping is a part of the atmosphere of track, and it wasn't like that at first. So for me, I'd like it to go back to its traditional, because I think that track is at any given day. Anybody can come and be the underdog and come and win. And I just feel like if that's the case, they shouldn't be questioned if they were doping or not just because they worked hard. So I think, like everybody else said, I mean, if you have proof that they did it, then go ahead and take it away from them because they're unworthy of it. But if there's no proof about it, then, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it because it was in the 80s. So it wasn't really no one really knew much about it until like now.
Darren, you're president of a track club where you see your athletes competing against the world-class athletes at Olympic trials and USA championships. What do you think about this?
And I'm also a long-time track and field official, so I've seen a little bit of everything. I think we'd agree that there are some questionable records out there. For me, the women's 400-meter and 800-meter records stand out as a bit odd. That said, they were set. The athletes did have to perform. Let's leave the records alone, but we do know this, and Jason hit on this. We've got athletes that are working hard to do things the right way. There's a bar out there. We know that they're going to hit and break those records at some point. Let's give our current athletes a chance to do the best they can and break those records and get them removed.
Okay, so I'm going to agree and disagree with everybody. And I'm going to say I think there should be 2 sets of records. We just had the 17 years ago, the turn of the century, so let's have some pre-2000 records and post-2000 records. And you see that a lot. You'll see a meet with different records listed, and maybe that's a way to go. And if the post-2000 record is the record, then there's only one record. But in that way, at least it gives there'd be 2 record holders, and that would give maybe a little more attention to the sport for records that seem unbreakable at this point. So anyway, that's my opinion. What do you think? This is definitely a topic that obviously within our panel here we don't all agree on. So what do you think? Add your comments to our website, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us for our first episode of On Pace. How'd we do? What would you like to see in an upcoming show? Feel free to contact us on our social media accounts and let us know your thoughts. See you next time.